said that you are you are absolutely fond of chemistry. You learned a lot in your graduation. So let's check your knowledge of chemistry, a bit of it. What is the importance of photosynthesis in our lives?
Sir, photosynthesis, I believe, is one of the most important reaction for the sustenance of life. Everything in the food chain, every living organism, somehow we are, say, a byproduct of, or we will be in existence only because of photosynthesis. So
please explain the process in detail.
Process, sir, if you ask me, it is the combination of carbon dioxide and water. Yeah, and in presence of sunlight in chlorophyll, the plant make their energy molecules. At the same time, they release oxygen for us. So that's how the chemistry is.
What is that energy molecule you talked about?
So that they are carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates. Okay. If I ask you, can you write the equation, the complete equation of photosynthesis?
I can, sir. If you give me paper pen, I think I can write.
You're sure you'll write it 100% right?
Yes, I think I can write.
Okay, leave that. What is the formula of that molecule you talked about? Carbohydrate.
Yeah, C6. H12O6. Yeah.
You're not very sure.
I think I'm sure. Yeah, I think yes. That's for carbohydrate.
You're 100% sure about it.
Yeah. C6H12. Yeah. O6.
Okay. You, Samir, you said that plants do release oxygen. So don't they transpire?
Technically, sir, you are right. If you ask me, you are right there. It'll just, again, when I write that balanced equation, what I will do is here carbon dioxide and water will be there on my reactant side. In the product side, I just talked about your carbohydrate and oxygen. I'll also add H2. That will be the transpiration. I'll just have to increase the water molecule on my reactant side. So that's technically correct. What I told in the beginning, I just took care of those water molecules. I cancelled them. Yeah. Okay. Technically, that happens. You're right, sir.
What is the meaning of electrolysis of water?
Sir, electrolysis of water, if you ask me, it's breaking down of the constituents of water into its the water into its constituent. That's hydrogen and oxygen.
Just that?
Yeah, that's what it's primarily is, by passing of electricity.
So I've got this mobile here with me. Can I use the battery of this mobile to do electrolysis of water?
You'll have to set up, sir, and you have to create that potential difference of 1.23 volts. Yeah.
So it depends on the potential difference. If the potential difference is 1 point, is there any other essential ingredient? Can I do it like that? It is this simple?
You can do that. Yeah, water should have that, some solute added to it so that the conduction of electricity also happens.
Right.
The pure water, the distilled water will not happen.
Okay, tell me what happens at the cathode.
Cathode, sir, will be the negative terminal. That's where the electrons will be present. So the H2, basically the hydrogen gas will be formed there, is positive. So that will go and attach itself to the negative terminal. That's where the hydrogen will be liberated.
Right. This would be it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you got scared by what all Samir discussed here. If you have studied chemistry, you know this. In fact, I have not studied chemistry in my graduation. I still know some bit of it. In fact, when he was answering the questions, then I could, definitely recall some of the things. I was an insincere student, all of you know that. But still, the terms looked like I was familiar with them. Now, the thing is, the message here is you have to prepare your subjects. It can come up absolutely everywhere. Anticipate questions. For example, if it's chemistry, I'll tell you what you need to search on internet. Please type common interview questions on chemistry,
on mechanical engineering, on commerce.
On any
you'll just get and start preparing there. Don't start with your graduation books now.
It's impossible. So if you've got a background on that subject, you will realize that going through those questions and answers would be much easier for you. So anticipate questions. I'm not asking you to go back to your books because it will be impossible to do those 11th and 12th books for you in these 15 days. No. So anticipated list of questions, work on them, prepare them hard, and then express yourself well. For example, when I asked this last question, what happens at cathode? He could have said hydrogen attach ho jata hai. He did not say that. Right? So I might be looking at a one-word answer as well. Then he would have probably gauged my mood and said, "Sir, hydrogen udhar jayega." Just that. But what did he say? Negative terminal, positive terminal. He explained that whole thing. Why? Because that is his chance to get some points. When you get a chance to make some points, why would you not want to show your knowledge? some people would say sir ये लंबा आंसर है, show off लगेगा. अरे वो काट देगा आपको यार. He would still appreciate that this guy knows his subject, isn't it? Think about that. I'm very happy with the fact that this guy knows his subject. मैं 2 क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ, वो 3-4 आंसर देने के लिए आतुर रहता है. I'm asking him 2 questions, he's excited to answer 4 questions. That is the good point about it. So I'll probably leave academics at this point and say चलो कुछ और चेक करते हैं. ये तो उसका सॉलिड है, बैकग्राउंड उसका सॉलिड है. So Samir, you are a chemistry graduate,
yes,
right? And you passed out in 2016.
Yes.
You worked somewhere after that?
No, sir.
So you have been unemployed for the last 2.5 years then?
Yes, it's unfortunate, but sir, I have been preparing very hard for this bank examination.
You gave 2.5 years of your life to bank exam preparation, Samir?
Sir, I have been sincerely trying, sir. Maybe, now I'm learning. Now this time I have reached till here. But yes, sir, I did not do anything else.
Did you not prepare it sincerely earlier? You should have cracked it earlier then.
Sir, the first year, actually, I think I was not very well prepared. First year, it took me to understand, and the pattern was also in 2016. Things were getting tougher, so I think I missed out on there. I should have been more careful, but yes, sir.
You should have prepared along with the graduation. That's a mistake, I think.
I'll not say mistake, sir. At that time, I was not even aware. Only after graduation, I thought what I was supposed to do. But yes, sir, I have not done anything in the last 2 years.
Samir, we have interviewed some 15 people since morning, out of which around 8 or 10 had work experience, and they prepared along with it. Why could you not have taken a job and then worked along with it?
So looking back, if I have to be honest, yes, I think I could have done it, because anyways the first year, kind of got I'll say wasted only. So that was my mistake. I understand, sir. But yes, last 2 years the fact is I did not do anything, sir.
Okay, so you regret this 2.5 year phase of your life?
Sir, regret, I think it will be a little strong word. I learned things. Yes, there was part of it which I ended up wasting, but yes, but overall I think I learned, sir.
Okay, what did you do?
I had been preparing for this. I learned a lot of things here, but yeah.
Anything else apart from it? How did you engage yourself for 2.5 years without going to college, without working, without going to job?
Sir, I have already mentioned that I was kind of preparing. I was not fully prepared in the first year, and then next year I prepared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
again, bad example of gap year. You see, I got stuck, right? Yeah. I could not say. There's no justification. Please try to understand. No good institute, whether it be a CAT or anywhere, if you go and tell them point blank that you are preparing, it leaves a very bad impression. I don't know why. Many of you will feel that I really worked hard there, and if you do not have proper justification for that, again that's very, very bad taste in the mouth of interviewers. I looked like a fool here. I was trying to justify myself. By the time he asked me 3-4 questions, I started feeling bad. यार मैंने क्या किया 2 साल?
And you felt like sir अब माफ कर दो, please forgive me. I do not want to answer questions on
this. So that's bad way. Gap year, all those who have gap year, you need to come up with a good story. Again, not lies. Try to look. We will show you how it could have been framed in a better way.
Samir, you're a chemistry graduate and you graduated in 2016. So it's been a good 2.5 years. You worked in this period?
Sir, actually I was offered a job right as soon as I graduated, and it was as a medical representative in a pharma industry. At that time, I thought of taking the job, but at the same time, I heard about the vacancies in the bank that were increasing. And when I compared the couple of both the life that I would have as MR versus as a banker, I thought I would pursue banking as career, and then I started preparing for banks.
But that means that you did not work for 2.5 years.
No, sir. I did not work say full time as a medical representative. The job which I first got offered, I did not. I kind of sustain myself by doing tuitions to the kids in my neighborhood. That's how I earn.
But that's not a proper job.
That I understand, sir. That's not a proper job. But at the same time, my focus was to clear the exam. And if you look at the last 2 years, I have constantly worked hard and I have done incremental changes and I have improved over time. Yeah, which I think I might not have been able to do along with the job. I have not tried because I give a lot of time also in the social work, sir. On every Saturday, Sunday, I go and teach underprivileged children for free. So that's also, I give a lot of time and I understand how important education is, and especially for those, if I see a light for them to come out of poverty, it will only be through education. So whatever little bit I can do, I try my bit best.
Right. So, do you regret not picking up that job ever? The one that you were offered after your graduation? You could have prepared along with it. We have interviewed 10 people in the morning who did it like that. So, do you ever regret your decision of not taking the job? You could have prepared along with it.
Sir, as you're mentioning, if 10 people have already done it, I could have also done it. Yeah, if I have to tell. But I will not regret not taking a job. So I have constantly improved. I have worked hard on, everything. That 2 years, I have failed, sir. I have failed, and that has taught me the importance of not taking things for granted. I have realized the importance of hard work. I have realized perseverance. I have learned real hard, lessons here. So it's not, I'll not say I have wasted away my 2 years. I'm constantly learning. When I engage with the kids, I learn a lot of new things from them. Or when I go to teach in my social community to the underprivileged, I learn from them. So the learning has not stopped, sir.
So we understood, Samir, that you learned a lot in this phase. But tell me something. How is this chemistry going to help you in a bank? I mean, would you not waste your graduation stream, 3 years of chemistry, and then a bank?
Sir, again, I totally agree with your point of view here. But at the same time, sir, what I personally feel, the graduation in any field, it's development of mental faculty. It is not just about the accumulation of knowledge that happens in those 3 years. We learn life. There are certain lessons of life that we learn. And though chemistry directly might not help in banking, but I'll just give you a small example, sir. We had to stand in our lab coat in simmering heat above 40 degrees. Among dangerous chemical there, we had to be very careful, attentive, at the same time the concentration, patience. And to add to it, sir, I'm not sure many people would have smelled H2S gas. In books, they describe it as a rotten egg. Trust me, I've never, smelled rotten egg, but it's very bad. So the kind of patience we have developed even in adverse situation, I think that's a life lesson. Even if I'm put in any place in bank, I think I'll not lose my patience there.
So you're calling our customers rotten eggs?
No, not really, sir. But even if they happen to be one, I think I can handle them.
So this is you're talking about life skills. So you do not regret your graduation. If you gave you a chance to swap your graduation with, let's say, a BCom honors, would you do that?
Well, looking back now, sir, I think it will look more aligned. But at the same time, sir, I don't regret it. I have learned my lessons there.
Okay. This was it. But if you compare the two answers, the one that we did just before this one and this one, isn't it a lot better? They understand. When I ask this question to somebody, बताओ chemistry कैसे use करोगे बैंक में? How do you use chemistry in a bank? Do I not know that actually those chemical reactions would never help anybody in a bank? अब पता है ना आपको, even you know that. So that's not useful. So what am I checking? I'm checking if this guy actually values what he has done in his life till this point. Does he value his education? Did he actually learn something in his education? And similar stuff. If you can handle that question, and of course, one important part is, one could have said, no sir, chemistry is actually useless, I understand that. It could be better, galti ho gayi. Why would you regret something like that? You can first say, jaise Samir ne bola, that yes sir, in the hindsight I might say it's not the best scheme, but I did not know that I would be working in a bank. Maybe a BCom honors, if you look at it now, but it's a good decision still. I learned a lot of stuff. And that made me a better individual and a better professional. Be it a bank or a science laboratory, it doesn't make a difference. So that is the core of this message. I hope you understood this.
Yeah. One more thing here. I think some of you are telling, how do we connect? See, all these things get interwoven. Now, had I said all my life, looking at my father or someone I wanted to be a banker, then you see I am caught here. the story has to be consistent. Then I could not have said, BCom honors Funelia. You were always, inspired by your father to be a banker, and you took chemistry honors, and now you are justifying your rotten egg story here. Then you are caught. Yeah? Do you understand? It has to be a consistent story. Even if you wanted to be a banker, you have done this, anticipate this question, ensure there is consistency in this story. If you get caught bluffing, they will not take you. Trust me.
So, Ratnam, you want to be a banker and you pursued management, right? You did your subjects thoroughly?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a few questions on academics?
Sir, definitely, sir.
Okay. Have you heard of Mcgregor's theory X and theory Y?
Yes, sir, I have heard about.
Can you explain that?
Sir, theory X and theory Y are part of the theories of motivation. Now, Douglas Mcgregor, propagated this theory that two theories basically. Theory X saying that the assumption of theory X was people do not like to work, they dislike work, they would cheat whenever they would find time to, and therefore from this assumption came the what to do, the action point. So if this is the assumption, the action point for the manager is to punish, to control the environment, to control the person who are working. So a lot of control, a lot of carrot and stick policy, and punishment reward policy is the example of this or is the action point in this theory. Theory Y, on the other hand, just assumes the opposite, that people love to work. They take work just as play. They would take a game. So in that condition, the theory of motivation changes entirely. So now we need to give that person freedom to work. Now we need to give that person right opportunities to work, rather than punishing him or controlling him. He needs less control now, right? So that's the difference between theory X and theory Y.
Have you heard of theory Z as well?
No, sir. Sorry, I haven't.
Any guesses?
No, sir. Sorry, sir. I haven't heard about it. I don't know about it.
Okay. Have you heard of McClelland's three-need theory of motivation?
Sir, can I take a moment? I'm extremely sorry, but I'm not able to recall McClelland's three-need theory. The moment I'm trying to recall, Bloom's expectancy theory is coming to my mind, but not McClelland's three-need theory.
Are the two connected?
Yes, sir. Theories of motivation they are. So I studied both of them, but because Bloom has three stages of expectancy.
You remember
model.
the three stages of Bloom's expectancy model?
Yes, sir. I have an idea about
Please
it.
explain that.
Is that the idea of Bloom's expectancy model is that hold on for this because I want to tell you. Okay, what happened now?
Look at how I don't know how clever you found it, but yes, I found it clever. This is the way you do it. If you do not know the answer to a particular question, do not feel bad about it. Okay, you're not supposed to know everything. So that is to show to you how you answer to it. I grilled further. Any guesses and all? Still, he was unrepentant. Nahi sir, nahi pata. The question that I asked after that, again, he did not know the answer. But very cleverly, he said, कि sir, ये नहीं आता, but ऐसा नहीं है, बस मेरी knowledge theory X, Y तक restricted है. I know some of the stuff as well. And the only connection between the two things that we are discussing now, or we were discussing now, we will continue further with that, was that they had 3 points. So that was the only connection. But he said, I'm confused. So it will probably prompt the interviewer to say, चलो ठीक है, उसके बारे में बताओ, if you remember that. I'm not saying it will happen every time, but yes, there's a chance that it might happen. So it took a moment, he could not recall, he said that. Redirect कर दिया कि ऐसा मत करना. If I do not know this, you keep asking me 5 random questions, and I do not know all 5. It might happen on a bad day, but yes, there is a chance.
Yes, it might happen on a bad day, and there is nothing wrong with that. Also, if the questions are too random for you to answer, but in your area, it is expected that even if you are not able to answer what you are being asked, you would at least give them another thing to ask for. Bloom's expectancy theory is about 3 stages, sir. it's the first is expectancy. Now, expectancy is where the effort and the performance probability, how much effort I am giving as a candidate, as an employee, and what would be the likely performance due to that. That probability is calculated in the mind of the people involved in that particular task. So that is expectancy. The second one is the instrumentality. Now, instrumentality is that when this job would be finished, what kind of result it would give, what kind of rewards it would give. So that probability calculation is instrumentality. And the last is valence. Now, valence is for the person who is doing that job, the reward, how important it is. What is the importance of that reward to him? Now, the motivation is calculated as the product of these three factors. Expectancy multiplied by instrumentality multiplied by valence. These are probability figures. These probability figures are multiplied to give you the motivation factor.
Okay, but is it a practical design? Three factors multiplied and you get the motivation force of the employee?
Sir, absolutely. And so that's the critique to Bloom's expectancy, or as a matter of fact, any expectancy theory. The critic by and large agrees on this point that is it practical? It's not practical. I'll give an example. For example, an employee does a job and the manager gives him a fatter paycheck. It gives him a 20% raise. Now, but for the employee, the motivation factor is reduction of work timings or working from home. Right. So when he gets that fatter paycheck, he doesn't get motivated. He just gets more demotivated. Next time they would ask me to work more from office. Right. So there is a mismatch between the expectancy of the candidate and the manager. And sir, practically I don't think any organization has the wish list of every employee's motivation, what motivates them. Right. So organization goes with assumptions. Now, if those assumptions are invalidated, the whole theory goes for a toss. And that's why it's very difficult to practically apply it. On paper, mathematical model-wise, perfect. But on ground, it's
because no organization, no manager would have data.
Would have data for all the employees. So that's it.
Thank you. Right. So this was it. This was about Bloom's expectancy theory. He knew it, he got me into that, and then he explained it very well. So whatever you get into, you have to think about that.
And there was a cross question, evaluate the theory. So, what Abhishek sir did was, is this practical? So he was not only checking my theoretical knowledge, he was also checking my ability to apply what I have learned. Okay, so that was very important out here. So don't think that you would be asked all theory. So therefore, your understanding of the theories is very important. How do you apply it?